season. We're here at Nurburgring GP, where we've only got 7 drivers tonight, so as I can't move my cursor, there we go. Only 7 drivers tonight, which is a bit of a disappointing turnout. Hopefully we'll be back to the usual. We're missing quite a few tonight. If you look on the left hand side of your screen, you'll see there we're missing Verstappen and Cloudy Cloud, to name a couple of them. But hopefully we'll make up for that with some great racing. It's going to be 4 red lights and then they'll probably turn green. And yet they go green and away we go. Ton Albanak is starting on pole position, surprisingly. I'm not quite sure why that is. Would have thought it would be lower in the standings. But Ton Albanak gets a good start into turn 1. He's going to Serbo making a big dive after dropping way down at the start. Shies is up into second. Palmer and Campbell are battling already. Bit of a squirrel there. Squirrely moment for Palmer, but Ton Albanak leads as he's ahead of Chise, James Head, Sir Ibo, Palmer, QVR Campbell and XL Ling. There's a 3 wide going into the left-hander before the first right-hander of the circuit. Well, no, the second after the first corner. But it is Campbell that pulls ahead of Palmer, 2 championship rivals. Palmer really running away with the championship at the moment, it would seem. But Campbell will try his best to... he's got to really start decreasing that gap as quickly as possible, as there are only, I believe, 4 rounds remaining. But we've got Campbell up into 4th, ahead of Ling, Palmer and Sir Ibo. Ton Albanak leads, but he's now got Chise right on the back of him. So I will need to exit quickly so I can change the camera view. Here we go. Got currently a 3-way battle for the lead, as I'll just get all the race info up. I'll connect my keyboard in a second, and that's James going wide. I need to get the corner names up, really, don't I? I need some corner names. I'm not too familiar with the corner names of Nurburgring. Know the track, but couldn't name all the corners apart from the Schumacher-esque, and that's about it. But Chise, is he going to look for a move on the Aston Martin into the final chicane? No one going for a move at the moment. Sir Ibo already down to the back of the field after starting on pole position. Palmer in 6th at the moment, so this is really good for Campbell's championship hopes, as he will need to capitalise on any point loss by well, he needs to win pretty much every race now. I will get the standings up as well. So apologies for a slight delay as I get the standings. As that's Chise trying to make a move on Ton Albanak. He's going to go around the outside of turn 2. No, there's no room there, but maybe look up the inside of turn 3. No room there either at the moment. In the championship standings, Palmer has a 46-point lead ahead of Ling in 2nd, Chise in 3rd, and Campbell all the way down in 4th. So you couldn't really call Chise is Palmer's main. Ling is Palmer's main championship rival currently. He's in 5th place, just ahead of the SMM driver. Campbell in 4th, but to be honest, Ling, Chise and Campbell are only separated by 8 or so points. So Palmer does really have to be careful about 3 drivers, but he has got that 46-point gap that he is sitting quite comfortably on, winning 4 out of the 5 races. Campbell being the only other winner so far this season. Incredibly consistent from Palmer, really polished after a disappointing end towards last season. Had grasped the championship lead with a few races to go, but mistakes cost him, and it gave Campbell a relatively easy run to the championship at the end. Well, he went down to the last race, but Campbell only needed to finish in the points or so to win that and to win the championship of the Porsche Carrera Cup. But that's Ling now looking up the inside. Ling's going to have a great run with the powerful Jaguar, looking up into the chicane. Doesn't make the move though. Campbell stays ahead behind James Head. Chise and Ton Albanak are pulling away. Ton Albanak still in the lead on the medium tyres. Anyone on a different strategy? Everyone's on the mediums except for Sir Ibo on the soft tyres. But it's Ton Albanak who leads after 3 laps of the after 2 laps on the 3rd lap of the League of Europe round 6 at Nurburgring. Chise in 2nd, forming a bit of a gap to James Head. Campbell looking to go around the outside, but now it looks like Ling's going to get a better run, and he's going to try and go around the outside of Campbell at turn 2, but no move to be had there. Campbell following James now. Pretty close racing so far. This is what we want to see. Campbell dropping back slightly from James, but James a bit squirrely, a bit all over the place. Palmer really disappointing at the moment, only made up one position. Usually he makes up 6 or 7 on the first lap, and by that logic he should be first, considering his usual form. My money's still on him though. He's had such good form, but this could be his off day. And he can, of course, afford to have one, but he can't afford to have too many. Of course, no one can, but Palmer cannot afford to have too many off days. But, of course, you can't really call it an off day. We're only 5 minutes into the race. He's just set the fastest first sector. Well, second sector, I believe. Yes, fastest second sector. 4 sectors round this track on this game. As I've completely missed, Chais has caught the lead from Ton Albanak. Must have been done into the hairpin. But he has got the lead, and I need to connect my keyboard so I can get some replays up. So if you excuse me for 2 minutes while I set that up, I'll try not to miss any more action. But it looks like Campbell is going to go for a move up the inside into the chicane, later on the brakes, and he gets that move done on James Head in the Lexus. Toyota driver, championship contender, currently 4th in the championship, moves up into second place and gaining more valuable positions over Palmer, who is leading the championship, leading Campbell by 55 points. So Campbell really needs to make every result count. Will the keyboards work? Yes, it will. Is Ton Albanak going to go for another move on Chais? No, he's not. My room is a mess, so I need to move some things around. Apologies as well for me missing last week. I was very busy changing the engine, doing an engine transplant on my real-life race car, which took 2 very long days, and I missed out on commentating last week. So apologies for missing that, but I'm sure I'll try and make up for it. I should be here for the rest of the season. Well, I'm going to try to. I'm going to uni in a couple of weeks, so I should be here for at least the next race, and then we'll see after that, I guess. But definitely looking forward to attempting to commentate the rest of the season. Campbell is now right on the back of Ton Albanak. Only 4 tenths separate them, but as we know from pretty much every race we've witnessed this season, Ton, not necessarily the fastest driver, of course, coming up from D2, and he's got that AM sticker on his car. Is Campbell going to go for a move up into the left-hander here? Yes, he does. I was about to say, as they go side by side, but Campbell gets that move done. Ton looking up the inside, but now he's going to have a great run down up towards the chicane. I was about to say that Ton Albanak will be incredibly difficult to pass due to the power of that V12 Aston Martin, the V12 in the front of that Aston Martin. But no, it looks like Kvyat Campbell has kept that position. As I was about to say, Ton Albanak not necessarily the quickest driver, but knows how to defend, but had a quick mistake through the Schumacher S there, really cost him, and Campbell was able to dive up his inside. Let's get the corner names up so I can actually talk about what I'm referencing. Nurburgring GP corner names. That'll do. So let's learn them as we go along. That's not very helpful. That's really not helpful. Will this one work? Yes, okay. So we're following Campbell now through what I believe he's coming up to RTL, apparently, and then into the Ford curve. Following Chais, any moves going on? Palmer up into 6th, so he's got past Dan, and he's now on the tail of James Head in 4th. James dropping back slightly from the top 3 at the moment. Palmer will want to get past him as quick as possible. XL Ling is not out of that battle yet. Sir Ibo only 13 seconds behind, small improvements. But Kvyat Campbell definitely is catching up rapidly to Chais. But look at the very slight but still significant fuel difference between these two. I'll quickly flick between the two of them. If you look in the bottom left, you'll see the fuel difference. Chais maybe saving fuel. We know he's very fond of different strategies regarding how much fuel he puts in his car, as we've got apparently no viewers, which is a bit disappointing, but we'll hopefully we'll pick some more up as the race progresses. We've got Sharon watching. Good to have you here, Sharon, as always. But look at this, Campbell right on the back of Chais now, as the gap is now down to less than half a second. Campbell really pushing to get some points in the championship, especially with Palmer being so far down. He'll be able to see that. He'll be able to see that Palmer... Oh, he's up into fourth now as Ling and... Oh, James Head must have made a mistake, surely. Yes, he has. James has made a mistake, a very costly one at that. Let's have a look. Coming out of the chicane, Palmer looking for a move up the inside. They're side by side. And James completely outbrakes himself and runs way into the gravel. Does a double 360 and then a 180 to cap it off. And James really out of contention now. He's going to have a really solid comeback. He's now 17 seconds behind. Let's have a look at the lead battle. Of course, Campbell will have seen that Palmer is making his way up the order slowly but surely. He's now up into fourth. So Campbell still, his aim is just to finish ahead of Palmer. That is his sole aim, of course, to finish ahead of Chais and Ling as well, who are ahead in the championship. But his greatest aim, of course, will be to get more points on the champion. That is the bigger deficit, that 55-point gap separating Chais and Palmer. Last season's champion, Chais and Palmer? No. Stupid. Separating Palmer and Campbell, of course. Palmer being last season's runner-up, Campbell being the champion. Chais goes defensive, but now Campbell has got a penalty, so he'll want to get past Chais before he has to serve that. He really does not want to lose touch of that slipstream with Chais, but Chais all over the place. Campbell really all over the back of Chais. He's only 2.5 seconds behind. We've got 3 viewers now, that's a bit better. Campbell thinking about a move into the chicane, but nothing to be done there. Through the Coca-Cola curve, the final corner, as Chais pulls into the pit lane. So this could be quite helpful for Campbell. He's not going to lose too much time, but he's also going to lose time to undercut. He's serving his penalty now, pulling over to the side, serving it, half a second gone, but it's more like a second you lose, because of course only counts from when you slow down to a certain point. So, or it only recognises, so if you're slow through a corner, it doesn't recognise it, but if you slow down on the straights, lifting off or braking, it serves a timer, but then you lose more time as you're accelerating back up to full speed again. So it is more like a second that you lose when serving a half-second penalty. It's basically whatever the penalty is plus another half second at least that a penalty will cost you. Chais only coming out 2 seconds behind, 3.4 seconds behind Campbell. So you'll see how quick the pit stops are on GT Sport. Prime example of it. You don't lose any time in the pit lane. The only time you really lose is from your actual tyre change, which half the time you may lose even less, as you'll see. Yes, you basically just lose the amount of time it takes to change your tyres rather than coming into the pit lane, exiting the pit lane. You basically get teleported from your into your pit box and then out of it again. So enter the pit lane, teleported into your pit box, then teleported to the pit lane exit. You really lose very minimal time. So it does, not very realistic, but it makes a strategy very different than any other game, which you know, it may not be quite what you want. Ling is up into fourth. He's ahead of Palmer. So Ling getting that, of course, Ling did the undercut, getting ahead of Palmer. Ton Albanek. So we've now got a 3-way battle for P3 overall, net P3. Of course, these guys have all pitted. Palmer on his outlap. Ling has the oldest tyres of them all, but that undercut really paying off for him. Now he'll want to get past with that powerful Jaguar versus that powerful Aston Martin. He'll want to get past as quickly as possible and then let Ton Albanek hold up Palmer. I'm just going to check that the stream is up and running okay and my microphone is all good. Apologies for that quick pause, but I'm back. Ling looks to be right on the back of Ton Albanek, but Palmer dropping back slightly from the XL driver. Not quite what he wants. As Camel has just taken the lead from Chais. Chais... God, what have I missed? It must have been done into turn 1. Apologies for completely missing that as I was checking the stream. But Campbell is in the lead of the race, but he's going to have to defend from Chais in that much more powerful Mercedes-Benz AMG GT3. The Toyota definitely struggles in that. There's make a slight bit of contact. Chais runs onto the grass, but he'll has another bit of contact as he rejoins. But he's going to gain that position, or is he? Campbell sticking around the outside. He gets forced to the inside. He cuts the corner slightly, but that shouldn't be a penalty. There's a bit of a dodgy penalty system with that corner. Has Campbell pitted yet? Campbell hasn't even pitted yet, and Chais was right on the back of him. Of course, he didn't overtake him. Chais just caught right up to him. So maybe. Maybe Campbell going for an alternate strategy, maybe doing less pit stops, trying to go longer on each set of tyres. But he's now down in 5th place, 9.2 seconds behind Chais. He's lost. I think he may have refueled a bit. Yes, he would have refueled slightly, but no, that's really not helpful for Campbell. He's way down now in 5th, 9.5 seconds behind, but he's going to have to push like hell to try and regain that fight for the lead. Palmer catching up slightly to Ling now, but Ton Albanek doing a great job of defending from the Jaguar and Mercedes behind him. I'm sure Campbell will be in that mix sooner rather than later. James Head down in 6th at the moment. Sir Ibo 42 seconds behind the leader. Not quite with the rest of the pack. But this is the driver that's going to hold the most interest for this stint. He's down, way down in 5th. He's already caught up about half a second to Chais, who's a bit on his own at the moment, with Ton in 2nd, Ling in 3rd, Palmer in 4th, and Campbell in 5th. As we approach the start of lap 10, Palmer with the fastest lap of the race with a 55.2. Wow, he is incredibly quick, and it looks like he's going for a move on Ling and maybe Ton Albanek as well, but Ling's going to have that slipstream from Ton Albanek, so Palmer isn't going to be able to pull past him. He's going to have to do it into the corner. He brakes late. He looks up the inside of turn 1. He's still there. Ling runs slightly wider, but he's going to have the inside line for turn 2. Palmer trying to stick around the outside. Is he going to be able to stick it? Is he going to make it stick as they're coming up behind Ton Albanek as well? And yes, he is. He's going to have the inside line for the next corner. They're still side by side. An excellent battle we have going on here. But now Ling is going to have the inside for the next corner. He needs Ton to give him a slipstream, but Ton's giving the slipstream to Palmer, and Palmer's going to go round the outside of the left-hander into Ford curve. And he gets that position. He makes that move. He's up into 3rd place overall. Probably net P4. But a great move and a great battle from Palmer and Ling there. Really, really good stuff. Some great racing we've seen tonight, even with a less full grid than usual. Only 7 drivers. We've found some great racing. Campbell setting the current fastest lap of the race. He's on course to make it the fastest lap of the race. Already caught up 2 seconds to Chais, so it's definitely not over yet. It is definitely not over yet. As Campbell is catching at a rate of knots. Is that the same? God, I can't remember. But Ton doing a great job defending in P2. Palmer just behind, Ling just behind him. And Campbell, he can see him. He's right on the tail of them now. Ling pulls in for his 2nd pit stop of the race as we approach lap 11. Ton can see Chai. He's not too far ahead. He's not massively pulling away from the Aston Martin driver. Chai is currently pretty slow. Well, he's very quick, but relatively at the moment, he's setting 56s. Ton's setting low 56s, high 55s. Palmer low 55s. He just set a high 56 on the last lap, but obviously that's because he was battling with Ling. Campbell just set a 54.9, fastest lap of the race so far. Ling was setting 55s and low 56s. James Head, mid 56s it looks like. So Ibo's fastest lap was lap 2, and that was a 1:58. So not quite got the pace of the drivers ahead of him. Palmer really on the back of Ton Albanak now, looking to maybe make a move into the hairpin, but I doubt he'll be close enough to make that. He's in the slipstream, he's catching up, but not enough momentum for him to make a move into there. 39 minutes remaining of this race. It looks like Charles is in control at the moment, but Campbell is definitely catching rapidly, and he's on an alternate strategy to the Cymax Motorworks driver in the lead, so it'll definitely be interesting to see how his strategy affects his race result, of course. You can tell I'm a little bit rusty. I'm feeling a bit rusty tonight after a week off. My last race I commentated being Fuji. Last week was Suzuka, which of course, as I mentioned earlier, I missed out on, so I'm feeling a little bit rusty, so please do excuse me. QBR Campbell on a charge at the moment, catching rapidly to the rest of the field, only 5.7 seconds behind the leader Chais. Still not come in for his second pit stop yet. Ton Albanak and Palmer both in for their stops. Palmer got almost double the amount of fuel that Ton Albanak has, so it's going to be interesting to see what the difference is after they come out of the pit lane. QBR Campbell back up into second, 5.1 seconds behind Chais. See the tyre wear, much better tyre wear after staying out that much longer, stayed out 2 or 3 laps longer than the Cymax Motorworks driver, of course giving him maybe that overcut. So welcome back. Ling has once again pulled the undercut on Palmer and Ton. Ton, as suspected, has dropped back slightly after having to refuel more than the Cymax Motorworks driver who pitted on the same lap as him. As Chais now makes his second pit stop of the race. It'll be interesting to see the gap between him and Campbell. Definitely two very different strategies playing out here. What is Chais? Chais still comes out in 7th, 10 seconds behind, but he's going to have to contend with Ling and Palmer just behind him. They're going to go 3 wide almost into turn 2. Ling looking up the inside, Chais defending from both of them. Chais should be able to pull away slightly now, being on those slightly fresher tyres. But once again, Palmer and Ling going side by side, but Palmer going slightly too deep there into turn 3, and Ling is able to retain that position, and he'll now have his sights set on Chais. But I think with those slightly more worn tyres, it's going to be a difficult ask for him to get past his championship rival. These 3 top of the standings in reverse order at the moment. Palmer, of course, leading the championship. Ling in 2nd, Chais in 3rd. At the moment, Campbell is in provisional P1 with an alternate strategy. It's going to definitely it's going to be interesting to see what happens after he makes his pit stop. Chai is losing lots of time after refueling in his, but pulling away from Ling and Palmer now, and Palmer is right on the back of the XL Jaguar driver. He's going to look for a move up into whatever that corner's called, because I lost the corner names again. Let me get them up. So coming up towards the Vidal chicane, Palmer's going to have a great run on Ling, but it's going to be difficult to make a move. Is he going to go for it? He looks one up the inside, and he makes that move relatively easily. Bit of contact there, but he lets, that's good from him, he lets Ling back through after that contact, obviously taking the blame for that one. Let's take a look if we can, I've messed up my buttons, but yeah, it did look like that was a bit of a dive as he goes for another dive into turn 1, and again a little bit more contact. Ling sliding all over the place on the exit, but that looked a relatively clean move from, although there was a bit of contact. Wouldn't judge that to be Palmer's fault in that case. I'd say that's more of a racing incident, just a bit of contact, and it is Palmer back ahead of Ling. Apologies for the slight pause there. I've just been reading the release from Sergio Perez that he is leaving F1. That's a bit of juicy news that's just happened. Well, not leaving F1, but he is leaving Racing Point, as it were. Carcana commenting that Palmer isn't in first place. Yeah, he's had a... For Palmer, for anyone else, I'm sure he'd have a great race, but for Palmer, he seems to not quite be up to his usual high standards, as Campbell has gone into the pit lane, comes out in P4, should be ahead of, yeah, just ahead of Ton Albanak. Campbell's in P4 behind. He's got a bit of work to do now, only 6.7 seconds behind, so he's closing that gap to Chais. He's definitely, it was 9 seconds at the end of the last pit stops as we're approaching the halfway point. It should be about 29-30 laps here tonight, I'd guess 30. So Chais leads ahead of Palmer in second, who I believe would be net P3. Ling in third. Fourth is Campbell. Well, this is your order at the moment. They've all made the same amount of pit stops, but my reckoning is that Campbell is looking to make one less, going quite a bit longer than the rest of the field on each set of tyres. Got to try something different in the car that is very, very quick, but very difficult to overtake. guessing that's Sir Ibo getting... Is that Sir Ibo getting the blue flags waved? No. Not sure who was getting blue flag there. Let's have a look at the game now. 5.4, Campbell really closing up. This is definitely something different. It's something really interesting to watch. Where is Campbell going to finish in this race on this alternate strategy? Something different than we've seen. Something different, which is something different that we've seen before. We don't really see much different. Most people stick to relatively the same strategies. Of course, some differences here and there with what laps they pit on or what tyres they go on to. But it's all relatively similar. But this is definitely different from Campbell. We're looking to make a pit stop less than the rest of the field, it would seem. He's now right on the back of XL Ling. He's going to have a great run out of the hairpin up towards Schumacher S. XL Ling on low amounts of fuel, but he's going to pull ahead back before the S, of course, where Lewis Hamilton had that big crash in the late 2000s, maybe 2007 or 2008. But now Campbell looking up the inside towards... lost the corner names again. But he made that move up the inside of the Kumo curve towards the... and now running down towards the Vidal chicane. I doubt Ling is going to have an answer for him. He's not going to make a move up the inside in that big, heavy Jaguar. But Campbell already the gap down to 4.8 seconds as Ling now does pull into the pit lane. But it's Campbell in third, behind Palmer in second and Chais in first. It's getting tasty towards the second half of this race. 14 laps to go or so. And, pardon me. 14 laps to go, and it is Chais that leads us ahead of Palmer, Campbell, Ling in fourth and Albanak in fifth, just behind Ling. Both coming out of the pits. Ling filling up probably quite a bit more than Ton Albanak. James Head all the way down in sixth. Disappointing race for him after that spin towards the beginning. Sir Ibo almost a lap down now, but some solid points on the board for him with the low attendance that is present this evening. So anyone that is watching, I think we've got about 3 or 4 people watching, get your predictions in. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think Chais is going to keep that race lead? Or do you think Palmer or Campbell or maybe even Ling or Ton or maybe even James Head, who knows? Do you think they're going to have an answer for the SMM driver who at this rate will be promoting himself up into second in the championship, really secure, putting a firm grip on that Teams Championship, probably one hand on the trophy already of that Teams Championship for Mercedes-Benz. No one else really comes close. I mean, they're the only team on the grid apart from on the grid tonight, aside from James Head and Sir Ibo. Chais and Palmer, Cymax Motorworks representing Mercedes-Benz. They're the only pairing on the grid tonight, aside from James Head and Sir Ibo, who are definitely not quite in that Teams Championship fight. Chais pulls into the pit lane now on lap 17. He's going to probably, you'd have to assume he'd refuel. He's going to change his tyres as well, of course. Refueling that car is going to be a pretty long stop. Campbell, as Chais stops, Palmer stops as well. I'm so used to saying them the other way around, but it's Campbell that has the lead. Only about 9 seconds to Chais behind him. Oh, as Campbell's got damage. Campbell has got front damage. I did not even realise. Campbell with that front damage. I got no idea. I've got no idea when that would have happened. No clue. It hasn't happened within the last few corners. So it must have been just following. So it may have been way earlier than we thought. This lap is going to be telling because, of course, he was setting, if you look at the right-hand side of the screen, he was doing mid-55s before. It will be interesting to see if he got the damage on this lap. Otherwise, he's been doing a very consistent job, only 6 or 7 tenths off his fastest lap of the race, which is the fastest lap of the race. But yeah, that's not good for Campbell. But I mean, it doesn't seem to be affecting him too much. He's not too far down on his best time. Coming up to the sector point now, we'll have a look what that deficit is. He's slower, of course. You would expect him to be slower than as fast as that with the damage, but he's not massively slower. It's not worth pitting early. But Chais, of course, pulling back that gap between him and the leader, now down to 8 seconds. Palmer 4.5 seconds behind his teammate, who will want to be improving towards the end of this race. Ling in 4th, Tanabanak in 5th, James Head in 6th, Sir Ibo in 7th. Going to take a quick water break for one moment while there are fewer battles going on, but I'll keep an eye out and we will rejoin in a couple of moments. Just seen, Campbell has made his pit stop. He's going to get jumped by Ling, Palmer and Chais. 7.9 seconds the gap now. So he has lost time after that pit stop, probably due to that damage he got relatively early on. But he's now 8.3 seconds behind the leader, Chais, so a strategy not paying off quite yet, but he'll be hoping that it will come into play towards the end of this race and he'll be able to take that win from the Cymax Motorworks driver, which will be his first win of the season. Currently 4th in the championship standings behind Ling. No, he's 3rd. Apologies, he's only 3rd in the championship standings behind Ling and Palmer. So this will be a big result for him. But it's Campbell who really needs to make a charge now. He's on the freshest tyres behind Ling and Palmer, his closest rivals ahead of him. Well, Ling just ahead of him, Palmer quite far ahead of the both. Actually no, he's only 2nd ahead of them, not too far. We've got a bit of a battle forming here for P2. A bit of a lull in the action at the moment, but it looks like it's about to pick up as Campbell is going to have a good run out of the final corner, the Coca-Cola curve, as I don't mean to replay there. No, do not replay, stop replay, stop replay. Campbell looking for a move up into turn 1. He shows his nose on the inside, and it looks like he's going to get that move done pretty easily. Ling, no answer for the dive up the inside from... pressed the wrong button again. I really am rusty tonight. Really apologise for that. As you can see here, Campbell outbreaks Ling up the inside of turn 1. Job done, and up into P3 overall. Now he's got his sights set on last season's runner-up, Palmer, his current championship leader, and Campbell down in 5th, but only not too far off, but he needs to beat Palmer at every opportunity he can. Palmer trying to pull out of the slipstream there, but I don't really think it's going to make much difference at the rate of knots that Campbell is catching. Goes defensive into the Schumacher S. Look at the run Campbell's got. He's going to try and go up the inside into the next corner, but he's going to give Palmer a slight boost, and he's not going to be able to get that move done quite yet. He's just got to stick with him in the slipstream, maybe try and make a move up into the chicane. He's going to get a good run out. He's got the slipstream, but what's going to be difficult is once he's out of it, he's going to look up the inside of the whatever it's called. I keep losing the corner names. My phone keeps turning off, and I haven't really learned them that well. But Campbell pulls ahead into the final chicane, and he is into 2nd overall. Now with his sights on Chais as Ling pulls in for probably his penultimate stop of the race. Yet another undercut. And he'll try to jump both of these drivers as Campbell sets the fastest lap of the race in the process. And he'll now have his sights set on Chais, the leader, and his closest championship rival for 3rd place in the championship at the moment. But of course, they'll all have their sights, the top 4 all have their sights on Palmer, who's leading the championship, who's currently only in 3rd position, and who could well finish 4th this race if fortune favours Ling. Chais has pulled into the pit lane. He will be coming out probably behind his teammate in 3rd position. Yep, he comes out in 3rd, just ahead, or a few seconds ahead of Ling, a few seconds behind Palmer, who's got a 3.9 second gap to Campbell now. Campbell really pushing hard, setting another fastest lap of the race with that 54.5. Really pushing to make this alternate strategy work here tonight. He probably has one more pit stop. Well, what's interesting is Chais, you would assume, has one more stop, and Campbell has one more stop. Or does Campbell have one more stop and Chais has no more stops? Either way, either Chais is going to have to catch up 9 seconds, or Campbell is going to come out very close to Chais. If he's the only one pitting Campbell, he'll come out just behind Chais, and if Chais is, if they're both pitting, Chais has got 9 seconds to make up to the Cymax Motorworks driver over the course of the stint. but probably if they, assuming that Campbell is pitting and so is Chais, Campbell will have to refuel more, so that deficit will probably be halved there or thereabouts. But it's going to be interesting to see what these two drivers do now. Who can last to the end? Can Chais last to the end? If not, he's going to have a real battle on his hands to try and catch Campbell, who's staying out for yet another lap. So, as we've seen, Palmer has entered the pit lane. He's come out in 5th position behind Ton Albanak. We expect Ton will have to pit once more. Maybe Ling will as well. But Chai slowly pulling that gap back towards... you'd expect with that fuel level that Campbell will be pitting this lap. So it's now going to be interesting to see what the gap is after this stop. Does Campbell come in? No, he doesn't. So he'll be coming in next lap for sure. He will definitely be coming in next lap. The question will then remain, will Chais have to pit? That is the million-dollar question. Will Chais be pitting once again in this race? Either way, it's going to be close. So it's all going to kick off once Campbell makes his final stop of the race. So Ton needs to pit and Ling will need to pit as well. So Palmer really in net 3rd, you would assume, as Ling probably has to pit again, doing one more stop than the Cymax Motorworks driver of Palmer. Palmer now looking to make a move on Ton Albanak. Going up to... He's not going to make a move there. Is he going to go for it into forward curve? Dive up the inside? No, he's not. He could try and get a better exit up towards the hairpin. Out towards the Dunlop curve. Looking up the inside. There's going to be a slight bit of contact. But Palmer's still going to make that move, or attempt to make that move. But yes, probably not the best idea there. That would have been a bit of a get out my way. I'm coming through whether you like it or not. Ton Albanak touching the gravel there on the inside of the second part of the Schumacher S. Into the Kumo curve. Ton Albanak retains that position for now. But this is who you want to see. Campbell entering the pit lane now. 7.5 seconds is the gap before the pit stop. Let's have a look, as he looks like he's timed this perfectly. What percentage is going to be? He's on 2%, so timing that and saving fuel to perfection. His last 2 laps were very, very slow though, so obviously saving fuel, trying to go that extra lap. Chais, where is Chais? He's coming down the main straight now. Campbell is still refueling. Where's he going to come out? He comes out in 2nd. He's got 6.8 seconds to catch up. No, Ling is going to get ahead. Or No, Campbell sticking it up the inside. They're going to go side by side. There's a bit of contact there. Ling squirrely on the exit, but this is really detrimental to Campbell's comeback. He's going to be stuck behind Ling now on those older tyres. He's going to have to make that move done, get that move done as quickly as possible. Is Chais going to pit? That is the question. It could happen. He could still have to pit, and that is going to be incredibly interesting and incredibly close for the lead of this race. But Campbell needs to get past Ling as quickly as he can. This is absolutely crucial now to whether he will be able to win this race or not. As he looks up the inside of the Dunlop carer and he makes that move. That is exactly what he needs to do. Quick and simple and efficient. And he's got that Toyota into P2. He's now got 8.5 seconds to close up on Chais. But does Chais need to pit? That is the question. That's what we all got to know. You'd assume that he would. He's only got half the amount of fuel that Campbell has. So if I was Chais, I'd pit now. I really would. Spend less time on those old tyres, pit now, spend less, put less fuel in the car. That's what I would do in this situation. Is he going to come in on this lap to counter that progress by Campbell? Yes, he is. He's doing exactly what I would do in that situation. So this is what it all comes down to. Is he going to stay ahead of QVR Campbell towards the end of this race, or is he going to have to is he going to come up behind and have to overtake him to retake the race that he's led from pretty much start to finish, with a couple of exceptions due to the alternating strategy? Campbell coming it down the main straight now. Chais putting more fuel in this car. Who's going to come out ahead as we come out of the pit lane? Chais is going to be 2.1, 2.6, 2.9, 3 seconds. He's going to be about 3 seconds behind Campbell. 3 seconds to catch up in about 4, maybe 5 laps. You'd assume 4 being on lap 27 and probably being a 30 lap race. But Campbell, fair play. That strategy really coming off well for the time being. Is it going to be is it going to hold up in the end? We'll have to see. But Chais, 3 seconds to catch up in 4 laps and then make the overtake. So we've got a real race on for the final few laps of this race for the win. I've got no idea who's going to take it at this point. We have to see how quickly Chais can catch up to QVR Campbell. This will be great for QVR Campbell's current points tally. Currently in 4th position in the standings. This may even bump him up to 2nd. I'd probably assume it would go up to 3rd. Chais would move to 2nd, Ling down to 4th. But our top 4 in the championship fighting for the top 4 positions in this race. Ling could still catch Palmer, 6.2 seconds on much, much fresher tyres. It's not too much to ask. It's not too much to ask for him to catch up that much. Palmer may have to pit again though. Look at that fuel level. He's got about half the fuel, just over half of the rest of the field. So I don't know if Palmer's going to have to stay out. This could be a 4th position for Palmer. And Ling's strategy, doing more pit stops than pretty much anyone else, really paying off for him and getting himself up into 3rd place. Campbell pulling away slightly from Chais there. The gap now 3.2 seconds. But this is exactly what he needs. He's got that small buffer with, looks like it's going to be 4 laps. Yeah, 4 laps remaining in this race. 6.5 minutes. It's going to come down to the wire, but it looks like Campbell is in control for the time being. Ling isn't making that many inroads on Palmer, but Palmer may have to pit again. He may have to do a slight splash and dash at the end. So that is definitely going to be something to look out for. But he's got such a big gap to Ling, he could probably afford to just save that fuel rather than make a push and make a splash and dash towards the end. So let's have a check on the gaps. Ling finally making some progress on the Somax Motorworks driver, Palmer ahead of him. Championship leader currently only in 3rd place. This will be his lowest. It will be disappointing for him. I'm sure drivers like Ton Albanak and James Head will be absolutely chuffed with the 3rd place, but this will be disappointing for Palmer, being his lowest finish of the season. If he doesn't finish in 3rd, as he does finish the pit lane, so this is going to be interesting. If he doesn't finish in 3rd, this is his first non-podium finish of the season. He's finished first every race bar one, in which he finished 2nd, and it looks like there's a real big possibility of him finishing 4th today. Changing tyres. He's going to have to refuel slightly as well, surely. Yes, he does. Little splash in Nash, but it looks like Ling is going to stay ahead, and he's going to have a relatively big gap with only 3 laps remaining. Chai is making no inroads on Campbell. Campbell pulling away slightly, if anything. Ling in 3rd with a 4-second gap to Palmer, who's ahead of Ton Albanak, James Head and Sir Ibo way down in last, a lap down. Not quite what he would have wanted here tonight, but once again, as I said earlier, solid points on the board being in P7, so it's not all doom and gloom for the 2nd Lexus driver. Palmer is going to be on a real charge now to catch up to Ling. He's already caught up a few tenths after coming out of the pit lane on this lap, this being his out lap. But it's Campbell that leads the race, 3.5 seconds ahead of Chais. These two in a class of their own here tonight, 12 seconds ahead of the nearest car. Only 3.5 seconds separated them towards the end of the race. But Campbell in control for the time being. 2 laps remaining after this lap. It looks like he's got it in the bag, barring any mistakes. Touch wood, I don't want to give him a commentator's curse, but you know, it could be interesting if he does somehow make a mistake and cost himself the gap he currently has. Palmer not really catching up to Ling as quickly as he would have liked. He's only got 2 laps to make it count. Campbell still retaining and managing that gap between him and Chais. Ling actually got some really good pace right now, and he's actually closing in that rather large gap to Chais. And it looks like, for the moment, that this is going to be Palmer's first non-podium finish of the season. Wow. Not a good day for his standards at the office here tonight. But you never know. He's finally actually... Looks like Ling's made a mistake there, as he's just lost a 2nd. He's just lost a load of time. Yes, as he had a very poor exit out of the Schumacher S. And as I've seemed to have cursed it, Palmer now only 2 seconds behind, with 2 laps remaining. Well, no, 1 lap remaining. This will be the final lap of the race. Final lap of the race now. Campbell with a 3.3 second gap. Palmer got to catch up 1.9 seconds and overtake on this final lap. Ton Albanak seems to have secured that 5th place pretty nicely. James Head, unfortunate evening for him. He's struggled after that spin early on. Looked competitive up until that point. But it's Campbell that leads on the final lap of the race. Really good points all for Campbell. He should take 2nd in the championship, and put a real big dent in Palmer's lead of 55 points. I believe it will go down to probably around 40 points. Still a big gap, still a big buffer that Palmer has. But could this be the symbol of the tides changing towards Campbell's favour? Taking a really, really solid win here tonight with an excellent strategy. Him and Chais in a complete class of their own for the entire race. They're being the only candidates for the win here tonight. Ling doing a great job in the moment and third. Palmer only 1.2 seconds behind. So we'll ride on board, well, we'll ride with him until Campbell crosses the line. He's got about 25 seconds until he crosses the line. So we'll watch and see what happens with that. Well, of course, he should cross the line in first. Palmer catching rapidly to Ling. One more lap would probably be enough, but he hasn't got one more lap. This is the last lap of the race. It doesn't look like he's going to get that move done unless Ling makes a huge mistake towards the end of the race in the final sector. But Campbell coming through the Coca-Cola curve now, the last corner of the race. He's going to come across the line, taking his second win of the season, and the win he really needed. He comes across the line, he takes the win. Chais will come across the line in second, a really solid performance from him. Ling will come home in third, another very solid points haul. And Palmer, he'll be disappointed with his performance. Not a bad performance by any stretch of the word. Not a bad performance, I'm not saying that at all. But his first non-podium finish of the season will be the talking point of the paddock after the race. But Tom Awadak will come home in fifth. James Head will cross the line in sixth. So Ibo's already crossed the line, down in seventh. So James Head will be the final driver to cross the line. But Campbell, round of applause. Really, really excellent strategy. Nice idea, doing less pit stops than Chais, and that is what gained him the win here tonight. Even with that damage, even against Chais, who seems to have his strategy pretty locked down in most weeks. Campbell found the key to unlock that luck, and he takes his second win of the season and should, I believe, move up to second in the championship. So we will just invite the podium drivers to a party. Just create the party and I'll invite the three podium sitters. XL Ling, SMM Chais, not Palmer, but QVR Campbell on the top step of the podium here tonight. So Campbell has joined the party, just waiting on one more driver. We've got three people in the party currently. I'm not sure who else joined. Right, that's all four of us in the party. So we'll start with XL Ling, third place for Jaguar. How was that race for you?
It was pretty fun, to be fair. It was like close between a lot of people, which is seen different from other races. I just didn't have the pace to keep up with Tice and Campbell today, so I think this was maximum today.
Yeah, it definitely seemed that Chais and Campbell were in a league of their own here tonight, but holding off Palmer pretty well. Was your plan always to just keep undercutting and hope you could hold off at the end?
Yeah, basically, I just wanted to undercut so I can get ahead of them, and then hopefully it worked out in the end. And I guess Palmer messed up in the second to last stint because he went too long, or else he would have been in front of me as well, probably.
And also, there was a bit of a scary moment when you had that moment on the end of the Schumacher race, touching the gravel slightly, losing about a second and a half.
Yeah, that was not ideal.
Not ideal, no. But a great job to get third place this season, continuing your and points gained on Palmer, of course. So continuing what seems to be a miniature title charge. But we'll move on to second place, Chais, the leading Sidemax Motorworks driver for the first time this season. How was that race for you?
Yeah, it's good to have Palmer behind me just to like prove I have the pace, even though it was a bit because of circumstances. Nah, to be fair, I was faster. Just kidding, but.
No, you and Campbell were really in a league of your own tonight. Just no comeback for Campbell's alternate strategy, it seems.
I found it a weird strategy, but it did work in the end. So GG's to Campbell.
Well, congratulations on, I believe, is it your joint highest finish, or have you already finished second before?
I've already finished second
So
before.
yes, your joint highest finish. Great job tonight, and of course, beating your teammate for the first time this season. Not going to be a clean sweep for Palmer, who of course had a relatively poor evening for his standards tonight. But we'll move on to the winner, Campbell, with that alternate strategy taking the win, able to retain that gap at the end of the race. How was it for you?
Well, I really enjoyed that race actually. It was something different, I suppose. Normally at Nurburgring, it's not a place you can overtake, so I was quite surprised at how much faster I was on those fresher tyres and how easy it was to get by some guys, especially since the Toyota's not the quickest in a straight line. I know that for sure. But in the first stint, I knew I had to do something different on the strategy. Sitting in that train on the same tyre life, same fuel, I was not going to get anywhere, so I was like, why not, let's roll the dice, we'll try something different, go a bit longer, hold up tries when he got up to the back of me. That probably proved crucial in the race maybe, just with traffic and whatever. Yeah, I was really happy with the race overall though.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, you two, as I've said multiple times now, really in class of your own. The gap to third place behind you was about 11 or 12 or 11 seconds. So you two really making a statement here tonight, and of course both of you making inroads on Palmer in that championship standings. Do you think, well, either of you three, do you think you have a chance of taking that championship from Palmer?
It's going to be extremely difficult, almost impossible, having missed the race, but I'll give it a shot. I'm sure the other guys here will also give it a shot because we all love competition and that's why we're here, that's why we race. But yeah, it's going to be difficult, that's one thing.
No, it's not the winning, it's the taking part, remember? That's what you're supposed to say. Well,
sorry.
It was a great race tonight. Really exciting, even with only 7 people. It really was exciting to watch. One of the best of the season. But we'll finish it here tonight. What's the next race, Campbell?
I believe it's Bathurst.
Yeah, it's Bathurst.
Nice, great track. Palmer's bottle track last season, so maybe we'll see some more spills next week. But for now, we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. This has been the League of Europe GT3 season at Nurburgring. We'll see you next week.